1 week before my sister's wedding, my mother looked me in the eye and said, "It's better if you don't come, Morgan. You'd ruin the atmosphere." Not we forgot to send your invitation. Not there's been a mistake with the guest list. She told me, her own daughter, that I wasn't welcome at my sister's wedding, that my presence would ruin it. I was standing in her study, the one with cream carpets and framed family photos where my face got smaller each year, and I couldn't breathe. My chest tightened. Vision blurred. I'm Morgan Hayes, 29 years old, marketing professional in Los Angeles. And apparently, the one person my own family wanted to erase from the biggest day of my younger sister Jasmine's life. Let me back up. You need to understand something about my family. We weren't just well off, we were image. Big house in the Hollywood Hills with the city sparkling below. Holiday cards coordinated down to our shoe colors. Sunday dinners at restaurants where the waiters knew Dad by name, and Mom always ordered the second most expensive wine because the most expensive looked desperate. I never fit that picture. While Jasmine, my younger sister, 26, golden, floated through life collecting compliments like seashells, I was the serious one. The studious one. Nose in books, then nose in spreadsheets. Building campaigns at an agency in Century City where I worked 50-hour weeks and nobody cared what I wore to Thanksgiving. I was the extra puzzle piece. You know, the one, perfectly cut, perfectly shaped, just doesn't belong to this particular picture. But I kept showing up. Kept bringing homemade pecan pie to dinners. Kept texting in the family chat. Kept believing that love, real love, was supposed to be unconditional. That if I just tried hard enough, worked hard enough, smiled through enough awkward silences, I'd finally be enough. I was wrong. Jasmine announced her engagement on a Tuesday night at Pace, this Italian place in Laurel Canyon where the pasta costs $48 and tastes like butter in heaven. I found out when she stood up, champagne glass raised, giggling that she'd been holding on to the most amazing secret. My stomach dropped. Nobody told me. But then Jasmine turned to me, eyes bright, and asked if I'd help her plan. "You're so organized, Morgan. I need you." That small sentence lit something in me. Maybe finally I could belong. I spent 3 weeks researching venues. Florals. Caterers who did those tower cakes that looked like art. I sent Jasmine a whole presentation, color-coded spreadsheet, mood boards, the works. 14 hours of work. "Oh, thanks, but we already picked the venue. And Mom found the perfect florist." But I appreciate it. Polite. Smiling. Dismissive. The family group chat, Hayes Crew, with the little crown emoji, started lighting up daily. Dress fittings. Menu tastings. Jasmine trying on veils while Mom cried happy tears. I'd read the messages hours later, after meetings, after pitching campaigns for skincare brands and tech startups, and realized I wasn't in a single photo. When I mentioned it, casually trying not to sound hurt, Mom said, "Oh, sweetie, we didn't want to bother you. You're always working late at the agency." I sat in my Culver City apartment that night, one bedroom with a view of a parking structure, scrolling through photos. Jasmine in ivory lace. Dad shaking hands with her fiancé, this finance guy named Preston. Mom dabbing her eyes with monogram tissues. I wasn't in one. Not one. 2 months before the wedding, my cousin Maya accidentally forwarded me a screenshot. New group chat. Wedding week with a champagne bottle emoji. Everyone was in it. Aunts. Uncles. Cousins I hadn't seen since I was 12. Everyone except me. I read through the messages, my hands shaking, stomach twisting, and saw jokes about how quiet the ceremony would be. How nice it was not to have Morgan's serious energy bringing down the vibe. My chest tightened. Vision blurred. I called Mom. Why wasn't I added to the wedding chat? "Oh honey, it's just logistics. You know how these things get chaotic." Logistics. Funny how those logistics included every single family member except me. I found out the wedding would be at Luminous Estate, this exclusive venue in the hills with floor-to-ceiling windows and a view that made you feel like you owned the sky, when a coworker mentioned seeing it on social media. "Your sister's venue is gorgeous. You must be so excited." I smiled, nodded, went to the bathroom and stood in the stall breathing until the dizziness passed. I called Mom again. I never got an invitation. Silence. Heavy, thick silence. The guest list is tight, Morgan. It's better this way. Better. That word again. I muted the family chat. Sat on my balcony with a glass of wine I didn't drink, watching downtown look glitter in the distance, and understood something I'd been refusing to see for 29 years. I hadn't been forgotten. I'd been erased. 1 week before the wedding, I drove to my parents' house. The gate code still worked. Small mercy, and I parked behind Dad's black sedan, my old Toyota looking shabby next to it. Inside, the house hummed with laughter. Dresses hanging everywhere. Flower samples covering the dining table. Jasmine's bridesmaids, all 6 of them, drinking mimosas in the living room. The laughter stopped when I walked in. Mom appeared from the kitchen, smiled that tight smile, and pulled me into the study. Morgan, sweetie, what are you doing here? I wanted to talk about the wedding. She sighed, closed the door, looked at me like I was a problem to solve. It's better if you don't come, Morgan. You'd ruin the atmosphere. I stood there, breathing. You're always so serious, so judgmental. And Jasmine's worried you'll, I don't know, create tension. This is her day. I'm her sister. And that's exactly why this is hard. But you understand, don't you? You've always been so practical. That was the moment something inside me cracked. Not in anger. In realization. They didn't forget me. They chose this. I walked out past the laughter, past the champagne glasses catching sunlight, past sounds that no longer felt like family. Got in my car. Drove back to my apartment in silence, hands gripping the steering wheel so hard my knuckles ached. The night of the rehearsal dinner, my phone lit up with photos. Jasmine in a cream dress. Dad's toast. The table set with peonies and gold-rimmed plates at some restaurant overlooking the city. I sat on my balcony. Didn't cry. For the first time in my life, I didn't cry. I felt hollow. Then, strangely dumb. Below me, Ella sprawled infinite and glittering, and I realized something simple. They didn't need me. And I didn't need them either. An idea sparked. Small at first, then burning. If they wanted me gone from their celebration, I'd make my own. Somewhere they couldn't touch. Somewhere I'd dreamed about since my semester abroad in college. The place I'd talked about for years while they smiled politely and changed the subject. Tuscany. The word felt like freedom in my mouth. I opened my laptop. Pulled up my calendar. Saw Marcus's name on a scheduled call. My fiancé, the man who'd held me through every dismissal, every casual cruelty. The idea took shape. Deliberate. Elegant. Unstoppable. While my family celebrated at Luminous Estate, 600 guests, crystal chandeliers, a live band that cost more than my annual rent, I stayed home. Posted nothing. Said nothing. But I was busy. I met Nina at our favorite brunch spot in Silver Lake. She took one look at my face and said, "What are you planning?" "Not revenge," I said. "Reinvention." We spent 4 hours over cold coffee mapping it out. My connections. 8 years in marketing, building campaigns for global brands, working with event planners and PR specialists and designers who owed me favors. Marcus and I set a date. Exactly 2 months after Jasmine's wedding. I reached out to Francesca, an event planner in Milan I'd worked with on a luxury watch campaign. "I want something unforgettable," I told her. "Tuscany. Intimate but grand. Can you make that happen?" She laughed. "Morgan, for you?" "Absolutely." The guest list grew. Clients. Entrepreneurs. Journalists I'd built relationships with over years of late-night emails and flawless campaigns. People who knew my work, respected my mind, saw me. Not one family member. The invitations were works of art, handcrafted envelopes, gold leaf seals, coordinates to the venue instead of an address. Sent only to people I trusted. I called a children's education charity I'd been donating to for 6 years. "I want to do something meaningful with my wedding. Can we live stream it? Make it a fundraiser?" The director's voice cracked. "Morgan, that would be yes. Absolutely yes." Marcus held my hand across my tiny kitchen table. "You've spent your life letting people decide your worth. Let's make this wedding about you. About us. About everything they said you weren't." I smiled. "Book the flights." My designer in Paris, Margot, who dressed actresses and musicians, created a gown that told my story. Soft silk in shades of sea foam and pearl. Constellations embroidered across the bodice because I'd always loved astronomy, always looked up when everyone else looked down. Online, whispers started. The Coastal Bride. Fashion bloggers picked it up. A few digital magazines ran cryptic mentions. Brands reached out. Partnerships. Sponsorships. Meanwhile, my family posted throwback photos from Jasmine's wedding. Crystal chandeliers. Designer centerpieces. Celebrity guests whose names I didn't recognize. Mom sent texts. Occasional. Guilty. Hope you're doing okay. We miss you at Sunday dinners. I left them on read. The world quietly buzzed about a mysterious bride planning something spectacular in Italy. My family assumed I was sulking. Licking wounds. They had no idea. I stood in my apartment trying on the gown, and Margot had flown in for final adjustments. In the mirror, I looked like someone I'd always been but never let anyone see. In the mirror, I whispered, "This is who I've always been." Nina called it Operation Redemption. We coordinated travel for 60 guests flying in from across the country and 3 continents. 2 weeks before the wedding, the charity sent the live stream details. The title, The Coastal Bride, A Celebration for Change. The villa sat on the Tuscan coast like a painting, cypress trees framing the view, golden lights spilling across ancient stone, the Mediterranean stretching endless and blue beyond terraced gardens. Guests arrived. Friends, colleagues, people who'd flown 8,000 miles because they wanted to be there. The cameras went live at 4 p.m. Italian time, 7 a.m. in Los Angeles. I walked down an aisle of cascading orchids, Marcus waiting at the end with tears in his eyes, and behind him the sea glittered like a promise. Within minutes, social media exploded. Someone recognized me from a campaign, then another. The hashtags started trending. Thousands tuned in. Not for gossip. Because the ceremony was genuinely, devastatingly beautiful. We said our vows overlooking vineyards that had stood for centuries. Marcus whispered, "I see you. I've always seen you." Then I turned to the camera. Marcus and I wanted this day to mean something beyond ourselves. Every view of this live stream supports children's education. Every share is a donation. This isn't just our wedding. It's a celebration for change. The screen behind us displayed the donation counter. Live. Climbing. My phone, silenced, tucked away, later showed 147 missed calls. Mom's text, "What is happening? Jasmine, is this payback? Is this what you wanted?" I typed one reply, "No. This is peace." By the next morning, every news outlet covered it. Sister excluded from wedding host's global charity ceremony in Tuscany. Donations passed $1.5 million in 24 hours. A reporter called it the most meaningful modern wedding ever live-streamed. Marcus whispered, "The world's watching." "I know," I said, smiling. "Let them." I finally answered Mom's call 3 days later. "Still in Tuscany. Still on my honeymoon. Do you have any idea what you've done to us?" Her voice shook. "Everyone's asking why you weren't at Jasmine's wedding. We look like..." "Like what?" My voice stayed calm. Steady. "Like you excluded your daughter." Silence. Heavy, thick silence. "You humiliated us." "No," I said. "I just lived my life. You chose to erase me. The world just reminded you I exist." I told her about the charity total, $2 million now. Told her about the place I'd dreamed of since college. The place they knew mattered to me. "You looked beautiful," Mom said finally. Not quite forgiveness, but acknowledgement. A week later, back in Los Angeles, Mom posted a public apology. Vague, carefully worded, but public. My parents showed up at my office downtown. Dad held flowers. Mom carried a photo album labeled Family. I met them in the lobby, thanked them for coming, and closed the door. Jasmine called. Voice caught between guilt and envy. "Everyone's talking about your wedding." "I know. Mom and Dad." "We'll survive," I said gently. I did. Before hanging up, Jasmine whispered, "You really changed the story." For once, she didn't sound condescending. Just honest. I accepted one interview. A wedding magazine wanting the real story. I told them the truth. This wasn't revenge. It was about reclaiming space I was told I didn't deserve. In a place that meant everything to me. The video reached 10 million views. Viewers told me I gave voice to their own exclusions. Their own families who only saw them as problems. Months later, I hosted a quiet anniversary dinner. Jasmine came. My parents didn't. We toasted under soft lights and Jasmine said, "You didn't destroy the family. You just showed us who you are." I found a letter under my apartment door. Mom's handwriting. Hoping they'd see my smile in person someday. I folded it carefully. Put it in a drawer. Maybe forgiveness wasn't about forgetting. It was about letting the silence speak for you. But my favorite memory isn't the wedding. It's the morning after. Marcus and I walked the Tuscan coastline. Barefoot. Free. The Mediterranean tide washing away our footprints as quickly as we made them. I whispered to the sea. They thought I'd walk away broken. The waves answered with their ancient rhythm. And I walked away free. Did you enjoy the story? If so, hit like, comment your thoughts, and subscribe. Thanks for watching Revenge with Keisha. See you next time.